As I said in my top 10 worst films of 2024, the landscape for cinema was very mediocre. Sure, there was a lot of rough. However, I did find some diamonds in that rough that will make up my top 10 best films of 2024. And yes, I know some of these picks are going to be controversial, but you know me, I don't care. I'm a bit of a contrarian. Also, sorry if my voice sounds a little off. I'm dealing with a little bit of a cold here, so can't be helped. But I do want to give a spoiler warning because I will be talking about these films. So sit back, relax, and welcome to Studio Jake. 'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side. Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to the Studio Jake vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, ring the little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast and consider becoming a channel member. Okay, so kicking things right off to the start, number 10, we have the anime film My Oni Girl. Now, one of the big complaints about this movie was that it played fast and loose with sort of the mythology it was bringing, but that didn't really bother me. I actually thought it was very well written. I thought that the animation was good, and I thought the English dub voice cast did really good as well. It's a charming coming of age story. Yes, like I said, the supernatural themes are a little vague, but it is a good story about two unlikely friends coming together and going on an adventure. Number 9, we have the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. So, this is exactly what you're looking for if you enjoy action comedies. It has a fantastic cast, a compelling story, and keeps you on the edge of your seat. And one thing you find out is the main character, played by Henry Cavill. Supposedly, Ian Fleming, the creator of James Bond, based 007 on this character. So, that was pretty cool because this is real historic figures. They just put them in the context of World War II and made it a little bit more comedic, but I had a good time watching it. It was a really good palate cleanser, especially among all of the bad films. Number 8, we have His Three Daughters. It is a dramatic family drama that shows how grief can cause strife among a family, but also bring them together. And it's also got a killer cast rounded out with Elizabeth Olsen. It is about three daughters who have to come together in their childhood home as their father is slowly passing away, and they have to deal with some hidden family drama that is affecting all of them. And I was prepared to be bored by this movie because I usually don't go for sort of these mature family dramas, but I actually had a good time. It was very well acted and it was very well written and directed, and I think that you will enjoy it as well. I do try to keep up with kids' movies because I have a niece and nephew, and I like to review these kids' movies for them. And rounding out at number 7 is Disney and Pixar film Inside Out 2. This movie is what Disney and Pixar should be doing. It felt like an old school Pixar film about a girl named Riley who is just trying to work through what she is going through in her life, about dealing with new emotions, rising emotions, and also dealing with drama with her friends. It has an incredible voice cast, a solid message, and it's a whole lot of fun. Inside Out 2 really surprised me. I remember as the credits were rolling, I immediately texted my sister and was like, Inside Out 2 feels like an old Pixar film. I recommend it. So that was actually a lot of fun to get to do. Number 6, we have Deadpool and Wolverine, and it is no wonder why this rated R film is breaking box office. It is fun. It reminds you of all of the nostalgia of the pre-MCU era, as well as the 20th Century Fox films. I really thought it all came together in a really hilarious way. I know Ryan Reynolds is facing some controversy right now. That doesn't take away from this film. Deadpool and Wolverine felt like a really good goodbye to the 20th Century Fox X-Men universe, as well as some of the other films that existed outside of the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It really showed that Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds still have it as Wolverine and Deadpool, respectively. Hopefully, Disney will learn from this movie to see that the audience, we don't want our superheroes drowned in woke. We want a really good, solid adventure film that shows superheroes kicking butt and taking names. Number 5, we have Jean de Barry, which is a French historical film following the titular character who was the mistress of a French king who is played by Johnny Depp. She was a real historical figure and she interacts with other historical figures like Marie Antoinette. And this was a good movie to bring Johnny Depp back into the forefront after his legal troubles. It really shows his acting, his versatility, his range as an actor. And I just would like to say it was really good. And it is, kind of a glimpse into this moment of European history. Now, I will say it did have a few pacing issues, but the dynamite performances and the compelling tale keep you hooked to it. And that is something worth mentioning because I really enjoyed it. And that's why it is so high up on this film. Because normally I don't like European cinema. I think that a lot of times they mistake shock and awe for good acting and good plot. But this time it was really tightly well done. And like I said, there were some pacing issues with the movie, but not enough to derail it. And I think that it is a solid film. Number 4, we have One Life, which stars the great Anthony Hopkins as a Nicholas Winton, who was an investment banker who, prior to the outbreak of World War II, worked to rescue children, Jewish, Gypsy, and others out of Europe ahead of the takeover of the Third Reich. And it is a phenomenal film. I was hooked to it, and it really shows how just an ordinary person can really take a place in history. I was blown away by the performances. There were a few scenes that kind of dragged on a little bit because they wanted to show you just how humble of a man Nicholas Winton really was. But just this look at an ordinary man who did something heroic and he was not even acknowledged for it until way later in life. And to see the positive impact he made on history and the world is something incredible. Number 3, we have Juror Number 2, and this is a masterpiece from the great Clint Eastwood. It has a compelling story, interesting characters, fantastic music, and a courtroom drama you will not forget. It is amazing. It is about a juror played by Nicholas Holt who is put on this jury of a man accused of slaying his girlfriend, but then he starts to think that maybe he might have committed the crime. And it is really interesting. It has an amazing cast. Now, I will say sometimes in this movie, they would introduce characters that would just suddenly disappear. They would be useful for a time and then they would kind of just evaporate and you were like, well, what happened to them? But otherwise, I really enjoyed this movie. I think this could be Clint Eastwood's last film. I was very excited to see it in theaters, and I think it would have done better at the box office if Warner Brothers had actually put a lot of marketing behind it because it is incredibly thrilling and it also has an amazing performance by Holt, who is the main star, of course, and I think that you will enjoy. This could be Clint Eastwood's last movie, and I am so honored that if it was, that I got to see it in theaters because it is a film that I think should be generating a lot of award season buzz, but because of how Warner Brothers just sent it out to a limited run in theaters and then immediately threw it onto the Max streaming service. That is the only reason we don't hear about it as much. But I'm learning that as people are discovering it on Max, that it is actually getting a little bit of traction. So hopefully it will get the accolades that it deserves later on. Number 2, and this might be my most controversial pick on this list, but it is Horizon American Saga Part 1. This is a Kevin Costner led Western about a large group of settlers who go to this little town called Horizon, but then they're attacked by the Native Americans. And there's a lot of other side plots. So, those of you who are familiar with Westerns, you might have seen a movie called How the West Was Won, which follows different families and interconnecting subplots about the generations that helmed the American West. And this movie is kind of done in that style. And I think that's why it didn't really resonate with audiences, is if you're not familiar with epic westerns like How the West Was Won, it might not have tickled your fancy, so to speak, as an audience member. I, however, thought it was brilliant. I love westerns, I love epic westerns, and I thought that Kevin Costner did an excellent job bringing this story to life. It did have a few scenes that I thought went on a little too long, but otherwise, I think it really captures the reality of the dangers of the West while also showing the sort of westward ho attitude, that feeling of we're going into the West, we're pioneers, we're exploring. I really thought it captured that as well. It has brilliant performances, and it is an underrated modern Western. Number one is Dune Part 2, and it's a sequel that builds on the brilliance of Dune Part 1. It is rare to see these days, as sequels and reboots often get just kind of muddled together, but it exceeded my expectations and it blows me away. This one actually made me want to go back and read the book. I had started Dune, but never could really quite finish it as a novel. So I went into Dune Part 1 completely blind, but I really thought it was good. So I came back for the second one and thought it was better. I'm not really a huge fan of Denis Villeneuve. He has made some good movies, but to me, he's very hit and miss with his films. I don't think making a slow movie makes you a visionary. However, because of the length of Dune as a novel and its upcoming sequel, Dune Messiah, I could actually see how his sort of slow burn style could work with that story, and it certainly did. So I'm excited for Dune Messiah, and I'm excited for Dune Part 2, and I think it is abhorrent that the brilliant score by Hans Zimmer is being denied entry into the Academy Awards. The Academy should be ashamed of themselves for denying that. That is ridiculous. It's stupid, silly, and it really shows the bubble that these woke Hollywood celebrities put themselves in. So those are my picks. What are yours? Let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear about what movies you liked, didn't like, which ones you thought were brilliant, which ones you thought deserved to be on my top 10 best films, which ones you disagree with me with, or if there's one you would say, hey, I like all of your list, but you should swap out this for this. Let me know. I would love to hear about it. What are the films of 2024 that you enjoyed and thought should be in a top 10 list? Thank you so much for tuning into my vidcast. Be sure to like this video, leave me a comment on what you think, share it out to all your friends, and don't forget to subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. If you would be so kind, head on over to my website, StudioJakeMedia.com. It is completely ad-free, and you can sign up to get notifications when I post new content for free. All you need is an email address or the WordPress app. I post even more content there. I do reviews, commentary, I discuss film, television, anime, faith, and so much more. So head on over. I think you will enjoy it. If you want to support the work that I do, head on over to my locals community. The link is in the description of the video. You can sign up for a monthly subscription, or you can send me tips based on the articles that I post there. I also have exclusive pieces there just for my locals community, so head on over, check them out. It's also where I exclusively publish my short stories. Speaking of stories, I also write books. I have my very first novella, which is Cacophony, A Tale of Faith and Fear. It is about a band of demons who come to the small town in Texas and want to take it over, but a group of angels are sent to stop them. Will faith prevail over fear? You'll have to read it and find out. I also have my sword and sorcery trilogy, The Seven Royals. The first book is All Good Things. The second book is Breaking the Stars. It is about a group of your favorite fairy tale characters who have to come together to save their lands from an evil mage and his dark army. Now, 1 and 2 are out. 3 is on its way. Be patient. I will not George R.R. Martin this. You will get a complete series. Last but certainly not least is my new novella, Blessed Child. It is a fantasy romance about an elf princess who discovers that she is pregnant with a human child, sending the elf kingdom into turmoil. Things get so bad that her father, the king, has to hire a disgraced knight who is on the path to redemption to protect her, and the two form an unlikely friendship. So definitely check this out. I think you will enjoy it. It is about courage under fire. It is life affirming, and I really hope that you will pick this one or the others or all of them up. They're all available on Amazon. Just type in the title and then my name, and they should come up, and leave me a 5-star review. It really helps out small indie creators like myself. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.
'Cause I've been living life right like I